Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Parker. I met Parker back in Austin at New Aces Mosques, and it's been a minute, but I'm very excited to have him here. He's my first Austinite, so welcome, Parker.
Thank you for having me. I didn't realize I was the first Austinite. I
Yeah,
feel like
it's
I can
really
represent
cool.
for us.
Yeah, Houston and Austin, nice. I wanted to say to you, Eid Mubarak. I hope you had a good Eid, man.
No, Eid Mubarak to you, man. I think it's still Eid right now. It's like 3 or
Yeah,
4 days.
yeah, 3 days, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, yeah,
The Eid Salah here was awesome. We went to a like big football stadium. Like all the Muslims in Austin came. It was like really
wow,
wonderful.
that's cool. You've been a native of Austin your whole life?
I have not, thankfully, because this traffic,
Wow.
like I don't know how natives like adjust to it. I'm from the Dallas area, specifically Arlington.
Oh, wow.
So more suburban, less traffic. But yeah, I've kind of moved around a lot, so I don't have like one single like home, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there a place that you consider your home?
Um, I guess Texas in general, but
Mm,
like when people ask me where I'm from, I just say Arlington because that's where I've lived like the most.
wow. It's interesting you mentioned that when you tell people that Texas is your home because for many years I had like a resentment towards not only Houston, but just Texas in general. I never really felt like Texas was my rhythm. I didn't really I didn't really like this place, because I'd say for like about 18 years, I was very provincial. So I live in a place called Cypress, which
Mhm.
is, one of the suburbs of Houston. And that was just my life, Cypress is very local and you kind of get used to it. But then when I started going to, the university, it was really cool because I got to see like all parts of Houston, like got to meet people from all the neighborhoods, all the suburbs. And then through that university, also just going out to different places like Austin, Dallas, Denton, San Antonio, Galveston. It just, I don't know, it made me feel like, wow, like I really love Houston. I really love Texas. Like this feels like me now, which is really cool.
Wow, that's actually a wonderful story. I'm just curious, like what made you like at first like dislike Texas and Houston?
I think it's just my interest in things. Like I always like to consider myself a New York born California man, you know? So like that West Coast, is something that really attracts me. Even like Seattle, for instance, I was really into grunge and I went to Seattle and I really loved it. But, coming back, I realized like those places are so nice, they're so beautiful, but it's really like this is Texas, it's incomparable. Yeah.
Literally, it's hard to explain like Texas to non-Texans. So I feel like a lot of your viewers probably might not be like Texans themselves. So I'm trying to think of how to explain it to them. Just whatever home is to you, for us is Texas. Like you can't explain it to someone else. But you're from California, like born in New York, then you moved to California.
No, I'm from New York, but I love California.
Oh,
So
okay.
New York born California, man.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah, it's nice out there, It's a cool place. Um, what I wanted to ask you was it's very easy when you're talking to someone to like accidentally like listen to them, like get their advice. Like it might be the wrong person that you're getting advice from, but you're not like cognizant of that. How do you distinguish between like who you listen to and who you take things from?
That's actually a really good question. And I think a lot of people like need that answer in life. Because
Mhm.
like just like you said, someone who might be giving advice might be giving bad advice. My advice on this, like take it as you want. is the person who's giving you advice, the person like who's talking to you, look at where their life is, especially like in the realm of like what they're advising. See how successful they are in that like realm themselves.
Hmm.
Like you don't want to take money advice from someone who's like deep in debt, has a low credit score. Like that'd be kind of dumb. But if Bill Gates walks in, he's giving you money advice, like you better have like your pin out, taking notes.
That's a good point. Yeah. So you said what? Like examining that person's world in that specific regard?
Like their success in that regard.
Mm.
Like of course someone's wealthy, like take notes on like what they're advising you money wise. Oh, what's something else? I don't know. Take fitness advice from a fitness coach, not like some dude on the
Mm.
couch eating potato chips. Like,
Good point. Yeah.
mm,
What is the best advice that you've received and what made you accept it?
dang, that's a very big question. Because we receive like thousands of like pieces of advice.
Yeah.
Um, dang. What is the best advice I've received? I guess the best advice I've received is that sometimes, like, no matter what advice you hear, you still have to like do what you feel is best, even if it like contradicts all the advice you hear.
That is a good point. Have you had to do that before? If you don't mind me
Um,
asking.
yeah, it's okay. Many times, actually, and just so many times. There's no like specific instance,
Mhm.
but following like how you feel, it either ends up that like you mess up and you realize that advice was right, or you become successful and you realize I didn't really need that advice. Like that advice probably would have like held me back.
Mm. It's interesting.
Can
Wow.
I turn that question onto you?
What do you turn on to me exactly?
What is the best piece of advice you've received?
Mm.
I can tell you're deep in thought right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like, it's just like you said, it's one of those questions you get all kinds of advice. I guess what I would say is just something I read recently. It's by a French philosopher, I forget his name, but he said something along the lines of, you should be more afraid of an ignorant fool than a wise enemy. And I really, really resonate with that because it's kind of like this idea that even I think the Stoics have proposed that you should avoid just idle conversations with people, And it goes back to this whole advice thing, like how you should discern who you're listening to, who you're not to, because it's contagious. Conversation is contagious. Like whoever you're talking to, it can play an effect on you, especially if you're not consciously aware of how you're interacting with people. So that advice by that French philosopher, um, just be cautious of an ignorant fool as opposed to a wise enemy.
Mm. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Because like just being in proximity to certain people, like you take on their language, like how they talk, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
No,
But is
100%.
or go ahead. My bad.
No, no, no. I'm sorry for cutting you off. You go ahead, sir.
That's good. Is idle conversation really that bad? Because we're kind of having like an idle conversation right now.
Well, I didn't want you to take that the wrong way, what I said. Um, I feel like this is not an idle conversation, in my opinion. Uh, Small talk is cool. I think small talk is really cool. I like clapping hands with people and just like asking small talk and moving on. I feel like I suppose when I said idle talk, I meant like it's a good point you mentioned actually. Maybe idle talk was an injudicious word, but the idea I was grasping at is there's some people where the way that they view the world is just it's not the way that you're trying to live your life, so to speak. And I think you should just be cautious of that. Like what you said, like you should examine a person's successes in particular things. And if that doesn't align with where you're trying to go, you should perhaps avoid conversation with that. Not necessarily be mean to them or rude to them, but just be cautious because conversation is contagious. That sort of a thing.
Mm. Yes, I totally agree on that. And like, of course, like you said, like still be like respectful. Don't just be like mean, be like, I'm not going to talk to you. But like keep your conversation probably short. And like don't go out of your way to like try to make a friendship if like you can see that that won't like end up well for y'all, you
Mhm.
specifically.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. I'm curious about like how you became a Muslim.
I had a feeling this question would come up.
Yeah.
And I get
You're,
asked
you're
this.
rocking the Messiah look, by the way. I just have to say it again. I love it.
I think this is the white Jesus look, not a Isa look.
Yeah.
But just for your viewers to know, I don't know if they're Muslim or not. Converts to Islam get asked this question so much, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like you get asked this repeatedly. Um, and the question, or I guess the answer to the question, it's just such a like a. There's so many parts to the answer that it's hard to like give like a complete answer. So I find myself giving like different parts of the answer to like different people, just to like make it like more like easy to understand. But the simplest way to answer this question is iradatullah, is God's will. Like in Islam, people who come to Islam, people are born Muslim, is chosen by Allah. And so that's like the easiest way I can say it. The more complicated way to say it, it's just like literally all my life experiences, no matter how like minute, no matter how influential, kind of brought me to this. And the main part of the story is just seeing like Islamophobia in America, and like myself being like pushed into Islamophobia, and like seeing a Muslim at the airport as a kid and like being frightened. Then later on, doing some independent research on Islam as a Christian back then. And what I found was it was very similar to Christianity, surprisingly similar. And everyone who tried to say that Islam is like a death cult or something, like if you read the Quran, it literally says taking on one life is like killing the whole world. Saving one life is like saving the whole world. Not in those exact words, it's in like Arabic, of course. But that's like the general message of the Quran. And for those Christians out there, people familiar with Christianity, the um, the pillars of Islam are very similar to the Ten Commandments. I'd say more simplified. There's even like more stuff to it. My favorite pillar is probably zakat. Like, you know, for us, we have to pay charity. And
Why
I
is that
think
your
that
favorite pillar?
because as a Christian, we would regularly be told like, oh, we got to pay charity. But very few people would actually do it. Whereas in Islam, like you have to do it. And I think studies have shown that Muslims give more to charity than like any group in the US.
Wow.
And so just learning about Islam, like independently, kind of like shattered my like preconceived notions of Islam. And I became much more understanding of Islam throughout the years. Then when I came into high school, was the first time I was actually around like a lot of Muslims. And I noticed they were much more kinder, much more generous than like your average American. And that really like influenced me. It's just over the years, learning more about Islam and knowing more Muslims, I eventually decided like I really agree with this religion. And I want to become a Muslim myself. And that's how it happened.
It's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. People always discuss the importance of first impressions. And I still remember when it's insane that I'm talking to you right now because I've only met you once ever. And that was just one night in a mosque in Austin. And it was just like maybe a 25-minute conversation, but you had such an impact. You were, first of all, very kind, charismatic, and super intelligent in many different things.
Thank
And
you.
so it's like, wow, like I'm talking to this guy right now after all those months, after that just one encounter ever, which is insane to me. Um, I like that, and I mean that's a quality in the faith too, right? Like demonstrating that sort of like charisma, that kindness. Um, what do you think about that? First impressions.
Oh yeah, just like you said, first impressions are everything. And I think there's a statistic or a study that says if you mess up one first impression, it takes like 20 other impressions to fix it.
Wow.
That just shows how important it is. And in Islam, I think it's even bigger because dawah, like spreading Islam, on one hand, there's dawah saying like, oh, this is what Islam is. You should join Islam. But most scholars, most Muslims will tell you dawah by just your character, how you are, how people like see you in the street,
Yeah.
your walk, your talk, all of that. That's probably the most like the strongest dawah there is. And I
Yeah.
think for most converts, like that's how they come to Islam is the dawah by like Muslims' character.
Yeah. It's very important. I think it's a Quranic verse, or it might be a hadith. I don't remember exactly, but it's something along the lines of like all human beings are shepherds of their own flocks. And I think that relates to that perfectly. Just it's like how you carry yourself is how live in your life like that's your stage. Every little thing you do, it says something about you. It's really cool.
Literally,
Yeah, interesting. Do you feel like you're rushing your life or no?
that I'm rushed in my life.
Yeah, do you feel like you're rushing things in your life, or are you like, I think I'm going at a good pace?
Um, that's actually a good question. Personally, I feel like perhaps I'm not the one that's rushing, but life is rushing.
Hmm. What does that
But
mean?
it's just at the age we're at, especially like right after college, like things get like much more fast paced. Like college, it's kind of chill. You're just studying. Maybe towards the end, you're looking for an internship, start looking for a job, and that's all cool. But once you get the degree, then it's like, oh wow, like I really need the job now. Like I really need to like establish myself. And time just goes by like a little quicker. But I'm kind of the opinion that like however life is going for you, you just have to like roll with the punches, go with it. Even if it's hard, just like keep going. So yeah, while life is being rushed kind of right now, like it is what it is. I'm just gonna go along with it.
Hmm. There's this saying by it's a Roman emperor. He said this. I forget his name, which one it was, but festina lente. And essentially, what it means is hurry slowly. And I just like that. Do you feel like you hurry slowly, or do you feel like you hurry?
I'm trying to like conceptualize that, like hurrying slowly.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly did he mean by that? Like,
What
just
yeah.
you
Sorry.
you go ahead.
What I understand from it is like um understand that life is fleeting. So you want to make good use of your time, but at the same time you want to enjoy it, kind of a thing. That's what I understand from it. Yeah. To take it easy, be patient, sort of a thing. But yeah, I'm no expert on what he meant by that.
I mean, that sounds right. Because I think with life, to really be able to enjoy it, you have to be patient. Like, fill your time, definitely. but you can't really like fight against time, if that makes sense. And if you just spend like all your time like rushing yourself to try to like achieve things or get something you want, like I think that like leads to like sadness in life. You won't enjoy life like that.
Yeah, very good point. I was just listening the other day. One of the biggest regrets people have on their deathbeds is I wish I didn't work that hard, you know, rushing through their lives for I don't know what it could be, a paycheck or whatever. It's like, damn. Yeah, by the way, this is something interesting that I always reflect on. What people are saying on their deathbeds. You know, I think it was Hamza Yusuf who said that he was like an RN once upon a time, and like he would always be like uh curious about what people would be saying right before death. And he said literally like he could see some people who were ready for death and some people who were just not ready to go. Um, yeah,
I wonder what differentiated between them. Like how could he tell they're ready?
I don't know exactly, but he said something along the lines of like you can just see it on someone's face, like if they're afraid to die or if they're like at peace with okay, I've kind of lived my life. Yeah, but I think he also discussed people's regrets on their deathbeds. You know, um, I feel like having that sort of like mentality of like what will I say on my deathbed for myself, I think it does play a pretty big influence on the things that I do. Would you say the same for yourself, or you haven't really thought about it?
Um, I do. There's one point in my life where like I kind of let that kind of run like all my decisions and actions.
Hmm.
And I didn't always do like the right thing because of that, if that makes sense. Like as surprising as it is, sometimes like if all you're thinking of like is how to best enjoy life, like just that, no like any added how can I say this? Like enjoy life, but there's like a way to enjoy it to where like maybe work a little to increase your enjoyment of it like later on, if that makes sense. As opposed to
Yeah,
just like, oh, I want to enjoy life. Okay, I'm not gonna work today. Just gonna
yeah,
chill for the rest of my life, do what I want. Doesn't really work like that. But what kind of keeps me like content with life is like whatever you do, it is destiny. Even if you regret what you did, like that still was your destiny.
that is deep. Whatever you do is your destiny. I'm gonna quote you on that one.
Don't quote me. That's I think a lot of people have said that before. But
I'm
like
sorry if I cut you off. Go ahead.
oh no, you're good. I'm just thinking of like how to give an example for this. Like even if you ended up, I don't know, you wasted a month just working, you didn't really like hang out with your friends or your family, you're kind of shut off. Like, yeah, that is really bad, and you'll probably come to regret that. But like, you can't change that. All you can do is learn from it. And the important thing is that experience, even though it was bad, it taught you something. And I think that's like how you should see destiny as like, yes, this was something that was bad. I regret it. But what did I learn from it? Maybe I was meant to undergo uh, that event in my life to come out of that event with like better knowledge.
Is destiny something that you think of?
Yes, I think it's hard to be content with life without destiny.
Why?
Because I think if you don't believe in destiny, then there there will be a lot of questions left unanswered, if that makes sense.
I think
Like,
so. Do you want to elaborate on that?
oh, sure. Again, I'm thinking of how to best explain this.
Yeah. You take your time. Yeah. That's very profound what you mentioned.
And just to like to note, when I say destiny, I don't mean like, oh, like we were destined to fall in love. destiny is bigger than that. Just like whatever you end up doing is like what you're meant to do. And I feel like maybe people have gone through like periods of suffering, periods of loss, just general hardship. I think without destiny in mind, they'll always ask, why did I have to like go through that? And it will like eat at them. But with destiny in mind, they'll say, why did I have to go through that? Like, you'll just think like, what was the positive outcome of that? And then you'll be content with it. Like, yeah, that was really bad, but like, I'm a better person for it.
Mm. What you mentioned inspires another question in me. Um, Before you were a Muslim, did you feel like that? That like I feel like Islam gives you that sort of an element, like you feel like you have a better reason to live. Did you feel like you had that before you were a Muslim? And if you feel like you did, what was it? And how has it played a role before and after you became a Muslim? I'm sorry, that's
So
kind
that's
of loaded.
actually, oh, go ahead, my bad.
No. My apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's actually like an awesome question. Um, so before Islam, I was very nihilistic. Like even as a Christian, I'd be like, okay, like there's God, there's Jesus, but I had no like set like belief as to why I'm here. What am I doing in this world? Like, what am I destined to do? What is my destiny? And as I kind of ventured out of Christianity and like just the general like disbelief, there's literally like no meaning to life for me. And just those unanswered questions I would have, like, why am I here? Why is this happening? Why is this not happening? Why do I not get what I want? And a lot of times, like, I would struggle to like try to achieve something, but I just couldn't. And I'd be like so angry about that. Like, why? I'd say like, why universe? Why are you doing this to me? Looking back, it's just funny to me. It's very dramatic. But in college, kind of at the heights of my like nihilism, I was also taking Arabic class,
Mm.
and we learned the term iradat Allah, which like means like the will of God. And I was very secular back then, but there's like this story in our like textbook where like this dude is saying like, yeah, my mom died, but that was iradat Allah. So it's like, huh, that's interesting. Like this dude's mom died. He's like, it's iradat Allah, man. Like, God's will. And so something so painful, he kind of just shrugged off by saying, iradat Allah. And so after that, just to like practice Arabic, but also to like just remember that, even in like as a secular person, not religious at all, I'd find myself saying iradat Allah. Like I used to work at Whataburger, and sometimes the lines would be like never ending. And I'd work like a 12-hour shift, and like those whole 12 hours, the line is nonstop. And just to prevent myself from getting stressed, I'd just be like, iradat Allah. Like I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to like make these burgers, give them to these customers. And that got me through it.
I love that.
And yeah, so that actually kind of led me to being a Muslim because I've just found myself saying iradat Allah so much.
Mm.
So at the point I like started believing it, like, wow, like I'm meant to be in these places I am. And like everything
Mm.
that happened was like destiny. And as I became Muslim, I just felt a lot more content with like everything I've been through, where I'm at in life. And like even now, like I do find myself like sometimes a little bit like not content with life. Sometimes even like angry or sad. But at the end of like my tantrums or whatever, I just have to be like, oh wow, like I'm meant to be here.
Yeah. No, beautifully articulated. I'm meant to be here. Yeah. You're never too late. You're never too early. You're on time, right?
Mhm.
Everything.
Clearly, even if you're late, even if you're early.
Even if you're late,
Like,
even if you're early. Wow.
I have a question for you though. I feel like I haven't been asking you questions a lot. How do you approach destiny? Do you like believe in it?
Mm. Deep question, man. Very deep question. Destiny is a concept that has meant a lot to me, like for a good 2, 3, maybe more years than that. Uh, I'm not quite sure what I could say about it, but in recent times, I've become more I've become more relaxed about my destiny. You know, it's more like I've just become more relaxed about it. I think before I was just so. I mean, there's this show called The Last Kingdom. It's about like Anglo-Saxons and Vikings,
I've
and the
seen it.
main you've seen it, right? And Uhtred always saying destiny is all. Like that's his saying. That's always been on my mind. Destiny is all. But you even see in that show, particularly in the last season, he says like he had a very interesting line. He said, "Perhaps it is my destiny to always wander and to never arrive." And that really hit me like, whoa. And it was that particular season, the final season, where he explores that concept of his destiny more and more. Because his entire life, he's been living, he's had this end goal in his mind, but it's never come to him. All these other things have come to him. And so he's trying to figure out, well, what is really my destiny if the one thing I want isn't coming to me? So um, I don't know. I just decided like I would forfeit like this chase of destiny and I would just live my life and I would take it one day at a time. And inshallah, that brings me to my destiny. You know, um, there's plenty to say about it. I'm even sure for yourself, but I don't know what I would say at the moment other than that.
Yeah, there's a lot to say when it comes to destiny.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's too much.
mm.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I've been cutting you off so much.
No, you haven't been cutting me off that much. Maybe like once. But it's all good.
Okay.
This is a
I'll
conversation
apologize
that happens. It's good. It's
sincerely.
good. The
Yeah.
Last Kingdom, though, that was a good example.
Yeah. Excellent show. Is there a particular lesson from that show that really resonated with you?
So I'll be honest, I only like got through the first season. That was like 2016 when it came out. I feel like
Yeah.
I watched it like way back then, so I don't remember much. But the whole plot is he's trying to become king of his like homeland, right?
Yeah, he's trying to become an elder. I think so. So not a king, there's another word for it, but yeah, like a ruler of his little area. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think Elderman. I think so.
Elderman.
I think.
What a name.
What a name, right?
The Elderman. But not to spoil it for any people who haven't like seen it. I haven't seen it, but I'm okay with the spoiler. So he doesn't become the ruler, basically.
Are
Like
you
at
asking me?
yeah.
Um, he does at the end, at the very end, he makes it. He
Oh wow.
makes it, but it comes about in a way that like he doesn't really think. Like I'm just gonna explain this.
Go ahead.
He went at it, right? He went at it, but when he went there, like to conquer it, um, his one of his closest friends was killed, right? The priest that like essentially raised him and was there at his important moments in life, he dies, and so that like almost traumatizes him, and he runs away and he never thinks about it again. He just continues to live his little life with his like family and friends, but a chain of events brings him back to that place. And I think the very interesting thing about that story, that season, especially in relation to, say, Norse mythology, is in some way he was avoiding his destiny, but it brought him back. Destiny brought him back through a series of events. It was just interesting.
Hmm. That is interesting. And I might have to
Yeah.
go back and watch it, like the full thing.
Yeah, I think you would like it. It's a good show. Yeah. Is there anything that's been on your mind lately? That, or I suppose, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to express, but you didn't get a chance to express or wanted to say?
Hmm. It's such an open-ended like conversation. Like there's so much.
Hmm.
Hmm. I really like don't have anything on my mind. There's like so much I could say. It's like, what do I choose?
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah. You're welcome to choose one or two or three.
I don't know. I guess this podcast is really cool because I feel like you probably get like a diverse like cast of people to interview. So I think your followers or like the people watching will probably like learn a lot just by like seeing different types of people.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the intention, to just have sincere conversations with people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll learn something about Texas. I
Yeah,
feel like you meet
right.
a lot of Texans.
Yeah, I think yeah, Texas is a beautiful place, honestly. Yeah. Well, Parker, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate this. You were
Thank
one of
you.
the first guys I reached out to, and uh, I really appreciate this. This is so cool. You know. Um, Thanks again for joining me. The first offs tonight. So cool, man. So cool.
And I hope I represented well for Austin. But thank you for having me. Really appreciate just you like being here, listening, asking questions. And I hope your podcast does really well.
Thank you, man. Inshallah. Thank you.
Allah.
All right, my friend. You take care, yeah?
Yeah, bro.